You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Customer analysis is the disciplined discovery process that seeks to answer three essential questions: who the users are, what they are trying to accomplish, and which constraints shape how they experience value. This orientation reminds us that building features without understanding real needs is a recipe for wasted effort and user frustration. Effective analysis shifts the focus from internal preferences or assumptions to the lived realities of customers, operators, buyers, and regulators. It seeks to frame problems in the user's own terms, exposing gaps and opportunities before solutions are locked in. Done responsibly, customer analysis produces clarity that guides prioritization, design, and trade-off discussions. It also creates a foundation for validation, ensuring that releases can be measured against observable outcomes. In this sense, analysis is not a one-time research activity, but a continuous practice that keeps products tethered to genuine human needs. The stakeholder landscape is the first step in clarifying whose perspectives matter in shaping the product. Customers are rarely a single homogeneous group. They may include end users who interact with the system daily, buyers who approve budgets, operators who maintain environments, support teams who handle incidents, and regulators who enforce compliance. Each group carries distinct needs and constraints. For example, a medical device must satisfy both clinicians using it and regulators ensuring safety standards. Mapping this landscape prevents blind spots where critical stakeholders are overlooked. It also helps balance trade-offs when needs conflict, as when users push for simplicity, while regulators require detailed audit trails. By identifying all relevant parties early, teams ensure their analysis accounts for the full ecosystem. The stakeholder landscape expands the definition of customer, embedding inclusivity and realism into discovery. Segmentation models organize customers into meaningful groups that highlight differences in context, behavior, or risk profile, rather than relying on superficial demographics. Age, geography, or income may sometimes matter, but more often it is how users interact with the product, what environments they operate in, and what risks they face that determine design priorities. For example, segmenting by high-frequency users in regulated environments provides clearer guidance than segmenting by age brackets. Segmentation helps teams focus their attention on the most impactful differences. It also ensures that resources are not wasted trying to serve every possible user in the same way. By grouping customers thoughtfully, organizations reveal opportunities to tailor experiences, prioritize support, or create specialized features. Segmentation creates clarity, showing where diversity matters and how it influences product outcomes, while preventing generalizations that mask critical variation. Persona and archetype creation distills evidence into representative user profiles that humanize analysis. Personas are not fictional stories invented in isolation. They are abstractions built from interviews, observations, and usage patterns. For example, a persona might describe the compliance officer balancing speed and safety under tight deadlines. Archetypes make needs tangible by anchoring discussions in relatable examples. They provide language for aligning teams. Engineers can design with a compliance officer in mind, rather than an abstract user. Personas also guide acceptance criteria, reminding teams what conditions matter for satisfaction. By embodying diverse stakeholders, personas prevent solutions from drifting toward the loudest voice or the most convenient assumption. They are not replacements for real users, but tools for keeping evidence alive in decision-making. Personas transform raw research into usable artifacts that shape daily choices. Jobs to be done framing articulates what users are trying to achieve in their own terms, separating problems from solutions. This lens shifts the question from "what feature do you want?" to "what progress are you trying to make?" For example, a logistics manager may not want a dashboard. They want confidence that shipments arrive on time and issues are escalated quickly. Jobs to be done strips away premature design ideas and keeps focus on underlying needs. It clarifies problem statements, ensuring that solutions respond to real jobs rather than surface preferences. This framing also enables creativity, as teams explore multiple ways to satisfy the same job. By centering progress, jobs to be done provides a durable anchor for prioritization. It prevents narrow feature thinking and ensures that product development consistently serves meaningful user goals. Outcome definition ensures that value is specified in observable terms. Instead of abstract statements like improve user satisfaction, teams define outcomes such as reduce average task completion time by 20% or lower error frequency in data entry by half. Observable outcomes enable validation after release, providing concrete signals of success. They also support prioritization, as teams weigh potential benefits against cost and risk. Outcome clarity prevents vague promises that cannot be measured, which often erode trust. It also aligns stakeholders on what matters most, reducing debate during evaluation. By embedding outcome definitions into customer analysis, organizations ensure that discovery links directly to accountability. This discipline transforms needs into testable hypotheses, ensuring that every product choice can be judged by its real-world effect, not just by intention or aesthetics. Context of use exploration examines the environments, devices, and constraints that shape how users interact with a product. Needs cannot be understood in abstraction. They are always influenced by context. For example, a mobile app may be used by field workers with gloves on, under poor connectivity, and with high data sensitivity. These factors shape design requirements as much as functional goals. Capturing context also reveals hidden barriers to adoption, such as security rules that prevent certain devices or workflows. By exploring context deeply, teams ensure that solutions are feasible, acceptable, and durable in real environments. Context of use analysis prevents surprises where features look promising in the lab but fail in practice. It makes needs holistic, integrating technical, physical, and organizational realities into discovery. Opportunity inventories translate discovery into structured lists of pains, gains, and unmet needs. Each entry is recorded with severity, frequency, and context so that prioritization reflects real impact. For example, manual reconciliation of transactions takes 2 hours daily, may rank higher than interface color scheme feels dated. Opportunity inventories provide transparency, ensuring that product roadmaps are built on evidence rather than guesswork. They also help identify clusters of related problems that can be solved together. By quantifying severity and frequency, inventories support cost of delay analysis and trade-off discussions. This discipline transforms raw research into actionable data. It ensures that customer analysis produces a prioritized backlog of opportunities that can guide design, investment, and sequencing. Opportunity inventories give teams a shared map of where user needs are most pressing and valuable to address. Access planning and recruitment approaches ensure that discovery draws from representative participants rather than convenience samples. Too often, teams rely on colleagues or the most vocal users, which biases findings. Access planning maps which segments must be represented, and recruitment secures participants across them. For example, including both novice and expert users may reveal very different needs. Planning also anticipates barriers, such as reaching regulated users who require permissions. Recruitment must be ethical and transparent, ensuring consent and fair participation. By securing representative voices, organizations improve validity and fairness in their analysis. This practice prevents overfitting to narrow views and ensures that products serve the breadth of real users. Access planning reinforces inclusivity and builds credibility in customer discovery outcomes. Research method selection pairs questions with the right techniques, balancing depth, speed, and bias risks. Interviews provide rich stories but may introduce social desirability bias. Field observations reveal authentic behavior but require more effort. Support ticket analysis uncovers recurring problems quickly, while usage analytics scale across large populations but lack nuance. For example, if the goal is to understand why errors occur, observation may be more useful than surveys. By aligning methods with questions, organizations capture both breadth and depth of insight. Blending methods increases validity, as multiple lenses converge on similar conclusions. This discipline ensures that research is not driven by convenience, but by purpose. Method selection makes discovery rigorous, efficient, and proportionate to decision stakes. Ethical and privacy commitments govern how participants are engaged and how their data is handled. Discovery must protect dignity, consent, and confidentiality. For example, interviews require clear explanation of purpose, voluntary participation, and anonymization of sensitive details. Usage analytics must follow purpose limitation principles, collecting only what is necessary and retaining it responsibly. Ethical practices build trust with users, who are more likely to engage openly when they know their data is respected. They also protect organizations from reputational and regulatory risks. By embedding ethics into discovery, organizations demonstrate responsibility as well as curiosity. Ethical commitments make customer analysis sustainable, ensuring that insights are collected with integrity. This practice ensures that learning comes not at the expense of people's rights, but in service of their needs. Bias mitigation practices ensure that findings are not distorted by flawed inquiry or interpretation. Leading questions, confirmation bias, and groupthink are common risks in research. For example, asking, "Do you like this feature?" presupposes positivity and obscures honest critique. Structured prompts, independent synthesis, and triangulation reduce these risks. Having multiple reviewers code interview notes independently increases objectivity. Bias mitigation makes discovery more credible and defensible. It acknowledges that research is shaped by human interpretation, but discipline can reduce distortion. By embedding bias checks, organizations preserve the integrity of their customer insights. This practice demonstrates humility, showing that customer analysis is not about proving assumptions, but about testing them rigorously. Bias mitigation strengthens trust that results are honest representations of user needs. Signal quality standards demand concrete evidence over abstract opinion. Vague statements like, "I don't like the interface," provide little guidance. High-quality signals include specific examples and behavioral evidence, such as, "I clicked 5 times before finding the submit button." Standards require that findings are grounded in actions, not just attitudes. They also emphasize consistency across data points, ensuring that outlier views do not distort conclusions without context. Signal quality criteria protect decisions from being swayed by noise. They also support traceability, as decisions can be linked back to clear observations. By insisting on signal quality, organizations elevate research from anecdote to evidence. This discipline ensures that customer analysis produces actionable, trustworthy insights, rather than abstract sentiment. A hypothesis register records assumptions about desirability, feasibility, and viability. Each hypothesis includes the stakes of being wrong and a plan for testing. For example, a team may hypothesize that, quote, "Users prefer automated reconciliation over manual control," noting that if wrong, development priorities must shift. The register provides transparency, showing which beliefs are under test and how results will influence decisions. It also prevents silent assumptions from driving product choices without scrutiny. By capturing hypotheses explicitly, organizations treat them as accountable bets rather than unspoken defaults. The register also supports learning, as disproven hypotheses enrich organizational knowledge. This practice turns discovery into disciplined inquiry, reinforcing that assumptions must be tested, not trusted. An inclusion and accessibility lens ensures that diverse needs are considered in analysis. Without it, products risk serving the majority while excluding vulnerable groups. For example, designs that assume high-bandwidth connections exclude rural users, while ignoring accessibility standards excludes users with disabilities. Embedding inclusion early prevents costly retrofits and reputational harm. It also broadens value, as products designed for diversity often benefit everyone. The accessibility lens reframes needs as part of core design, not edge cases. By embedding inclusion into customer analysis, organizations demonstrate fairness and responsibility. This practice ensures that products do not inadvertently create barriers but instead open opportunities. Inclusion strengthens both trust and market reach, making analysis more representative and outcomes more sustainable. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Synthesis routines transform scattered research into structured insights. Raw notes from interviews, observations, or analytics can be overwhelming and inconsistent. Synthesis involves grouping observations into themes, contradictions, and outliers, while preserving traceability to their original sources. For example, multiple notes about long task completion times might cluster into a theme of workflow friction, while a contradictory outlier could highlight a subgroup thriving under current design. Traceability ensures that teams can revisit evidence when challenged, protecting credibility. Synthesis is not about forcing consensus, but about making patterns visible while respecting diversity in the data. It balances convergence with curiosity, turning noise into clarity without oversimplifying. Done well, synthesis allows teams to act on evidence confidently while acknowledging nuance. It ensures that customer analysis produces guidance that is both evidence-based and transparent, bridging the messy world of raw input with actionable insight. Segment prioritization ensures that attention is directed where it delivers the greatest value. Not all customer segments can or should be served equally in early cycles. Prioritization weighs impact, reach, and strategic fit. Impact considers the severity of pains or potential gains. Reach examines how many users experience them, and strategic fit assesses alignment with organizational goals or obligations. For example, addressing workflow delays for high-frequency enterprise users may provide more leverage than refining minor features for occasional users. Prioritization does not mean abandoning other segments but sequencing efforts responsibly. By focusing first where improvement has the greatest payoff, teams build momentum and credibility. Segment prioritization also prevents scattershot development that dilutes impact. This discipline ensures that customer analysis flows into practical decision-making, guiding investments to where they can most meaningfully reduce friction or create measurable progress. Task and narrative flows capture the real steps users take to achieve outcomes, highlighting where breakdowns occur. Unlike process maps that assume ideal paths, narrative flows describe what people actually do, including detours, retries, and workarounds. For example, a task flow for filing an insurance claim might reveal multiple calls, repeated data entry, and uncertainty about status. Narratives are expressed in words rather than diagrams, so they can be shared in audio-friendly discussions across teams. These flows provide common ground for alignment, allowing stakeholders to see where interventions would reduce effort or risk. They also expose emotional pain points, such as frustration during repeated failures. By capturing real journeys, task and narrative flows ensure that analysis connects to lived experience rather than abstract design. They provide practical entry points for prioritization and design, showing where targeted changes would have the greatest effect. Value proposition statements link target users, their problems, and the outcomes a product aims to provide. These concise expressions clarify why a given slice matters before development begins. For example, for compliance officers managing audits, our workflow reduces preparation time by 40% by automating evidence gathering. Such statements prevent teams from drifting into feature-centric thinking detached from user benefit. They also sharpen prioritization by highlighting what problem is being solved, for whom, and how success will be experienced. Value propositions align stakeholders by framing development as a response to needs rather than an exercise in invention. They also provide a reference point for testing, as outcomes can be validated against the promise. By embedding value propositions into analysis, organizations create clarity, accountability, and focus. This practice transforms raw insights into commitments that guide design, scope, and trade-off decisions. Acceptance criteria shaping translates needs into verifiable conditions of satisfaction. These criteria define what must be true for a solution to meet user requirements. For example, a criterion for a file upload feature might state, users can successfully upload a 200 megabytes file within 2 minutes on a 3G connection. Criteria make needs concrete, guiding design, testing, and demos. They also prevent misalignment, as teams know exactly what outcome validates success. Acceptance criteria reflect both functional and contextual elements discovered during analysis, including environment, constraints, and quality expectations. By grounding them in observed needs, criteria remain evidence-driven rather than speculative. This practice turns abstract goals into testable hypotheses. It ensures that customer analysis flows directly into delivery, producing features that can be judged objectively. Acceptance criteria anchor development in the user's world, making outcomes measurable and trust stronger. Non-functional expectations must enter requirements early to ensure that trust attributes, privacy, reliability, accessibility, and operability are designed intentionally rather than bolted on. For example, an onboarding flow may meet functional needs but fail accessibility checks if color contrast is poor. Privacy expectations may require encryption, consent, and data minimization practices. Non-functional criteria often carry equal or greater weight than features, as lapses can damage trust irreparably. By including them in customer analysis, organizations demonstrate that value includes not only utility but also safety, fairness, and inclusivity. These expectations prevent late-stage crises, where overlooked obligations derail releases or harm reputation. By making them explicit, teams ensure that non-functional needs compete fairly for prioritization. This practice reinforces that customer needs are multidimensional. Products succeed only when they work reliably, and respect the constraints and rights of all stakeholders. Opportunity sizing estimates the magnitude of benefit associated with addressing a user pain or unmet need. This involves quantifying both impact and urgency. For example, if customer support tickets show that 30% of calls relate to a recurring error, resolving it may save thousands of hours annually and reduce churn. Opportunity sizing also accounts for cost of delay, where unaddressed needs compound harm. By estimating potential savings, gains, or risk reduction, teams can prioritize more rationally. Opportunity sizing reframes user needs as investments, clarifying which problems deliver the highest return when solved. It also prevents teams from overcommitting to marginal issues. While estimates may not be precise, even directional sizing supports better decisions. This discipline ensures that customer analysis connects to business strategy, aligning empathy with economics. It makes prioritization evidence-based, balancing user benefit with organizational viability. Experiment design tests whether identified needs and proposed solutions fit reality. Rather than committing to full-scale builds, teams run small, low-risk experiments. These may include concierge trials, where a service is delivered manually to validate demand, or prototypes with clear questions to answer. For example, a prototype of a new scheduling feature might test whether users understand and adopt it under real conditions. Staged exposures, such as releasing to a limited cohort, provide feedback without systemic risk. Experimentation makes customer analysis iterative, turning insights into hypotheses and testing them under controlled conditions. It prevents overconfidence in assumptions and enables rapid learning. By embedding experiments, organizations ensure that product decisions remain evidence-driven. This practice creates a culture of humility and curiosity, where ideas must prove themselves before scaling. It transforms analysis from speculation into validated discovery. Telemetry and feedback plans define how needs will be validated after release. Discovery does not end with shipment. Telemetry provides signals of adoption, error rates, or time saved, while feedback captures subjective experience. Plans must specify which events will be tracked, which cohorts will be observed, and how long signals will be monitored. For example, adoption of a new login flow may be measured by success rates within 30 days, segmented by device type. Feedback plans also define how qualitative input will be gathered, such as follow-up interviews or surveys. By embedding telemetry, organizations ensure that outcomes can be verified against expectations. This closes the loop from analysis to delivery. Telemetry and feedback plans make customer analysis accountable, turning needs into measurable results. They demonstrate that learning continues in production, reinforcing a cycle of evidence-based improvement. Cross-function reviews bring diverse perspectives together to challenge assumptions before commitment. Product, design, engineering, support, and risk teams each bring unique insights. For example, engineers may highlight feasibility constraints, support staff may flag recurring pain points, and risk partners may identify compliance obligations. Reviewing findings together ensures that needs are interpreted holistically. It also prevents narrow perspectives from dominating decisions. Cross-functional dialogue tests whether identified needs are real, feasible, and aligned with obligations. It builds confidence that trade-offs are transparent and considered responsibly. These reviews embed accountability, as assumptions are exposed to scrutiny. They also strengthen alignment, ensuring that delivery teams share a common understanding of priorities. By institutionalizing cross-function reviews, organizations make customer analysis robust and inclusive, balancing empathy for users with operational and regulatory realities. Decision logs capture which segments were prioritized, what trade-offs were made, and why. This transparency prevents second-guessing and provides a record for future learning. For example, a log may note that enterprise clients were prioritized over small businesses due to strategic fit, acknowledging risks of exclusion. Logs also record assumptions, making it easier to revisit decisions when context shifts. They reinforce accountability, as rationales are preserved rather than lost in memory. Decision logs support auditability, governance, and cultural learning. They also strengthen trust among stakeholders, who can see how choices were justified. By maintaining logs, organizations turn decisions into assets of institutional memory. This practice ensures that customer analysis is not ephemeral but traceable. It demonstrates commitment to transparency, accountability, and humility in product development. Learning repositories store artifacts from customer analysis personas, narratives, acceptance criteria, and experiment results. These repositories ensure that insights travel across teams and persist over time. For example, a persona built for one product line may prove valuable for another, preventing duplication. Repositories democratize access to insights, making them available beyond product managers or researchers. They also accelerate onboarding, giving new team members visibility into prior discoveries. By curating artifacts systematically, organizations build institutional memory that compounds with each cycle of discovery. Learning repositories also provide resilience, ensuring that knowledge is not lost when individuals move on. They transform research from temporary projects into shared assets. This practice ensures that customer analysis continues to inform decisions long after initial discovery, sustaining alignment across products, teams, and time horizons. Renewal cadence ensures that customer analysis remains fresh as markets, technologies, and regulations evolve. Needs are not static. What mattered last year may no longer define value today. Renewal schedules establish when segments, personas, and opportunity inventories will be revisited. For example, annual reviews may check whether assumptions about usage patterns still hold, while quarterly checks may update high-risk regulatory needs. Renewal prevents drift, where products continue serving outdated expectations. It also reinforces humility, reminding teams that learning is continuous. By embedding cadence, organizations ensure that analysis evolves alongside context. This discipline protects relevance, keeping products aligned with current realities rather than historical assumptions. Renewal makes discovery a living practice, not a one-time milestone, sustaining credibility and trust over the long term. Success confirmation closes the loop by tying shipped increments back to user outcomes. Analysis is not complete until evidence shows that prioritized needs were addressed. Confirmation compares telemetry, feedback, and support signals against the original opportunity inventory. For example, if onboarding improvements were meant to reduce support tickets, success is confirmed when ticket volume declines across cohorts. This practice builds accountability, proving that product choices delivered real value. It also strengthens trust with stakeholders, showing that discovery and delivery are aligned. Success confirmation ensures that customer analysis is not symbolic, but effective. It validates that analysis drives results, not just conversation. By embedding confirmation, organizations create a cycle of continuous learning and accountability, ensuring that user needs are not only understood, but demonstrably improved. Customer analysis synthesis emphasizes that disciplined discovery requires representative understanding, outcome-oriented definitions, ethical evidence, and testable acceptance. Stakeholder landscapes and segmentation models ensure that diverse voices are heard. Jobs to be done and outcome framing tie analysis to real progress. Opportunity inventories, access plans, and rigorous research methods ensure validity and fairness. Bias mitigation, ethical commitments, and inclusivity preserve trust. Part 2 practices synthesis, prioritization flows, and acceptance criteria translate insights into actionable design. Telemetry, reviews, and decision logs sustain accountability, while learning repositories and renewal cadences preserve freshness over time. Success confirmation ensures results are validated, not assumed. Together, these practices make customer analysis a repeatable discipline, aligning products with genuine user needs and embedding evidence into every decision. The result is value that is real, validated, and inclusive. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.